Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Lord, it's good enough for me. It was good for the Hebrew children. Good for the Hebrew children. It was good for the Hebrew children. Lord, it's good enough for me. It will love everybody. Make us love everybody. Make us love everybody. Lord, that's good enough for me. It was good for Paul and Silas. Good for Paul and Silas. Was good for Paul and Silas. Lord, it's good enough for me. We are in the standard edition of the Catholic Bible as it currently exists. No notes, no reactions, no commentary. We are live streaming the Bible. If you're not interested in that, please dislike and unsubscribe from this terrible sinking ship of a platform. We are at the friendship of David and Jonathan. Now, I read the first few paragraphs of this. I will continue to read the rest of this, but I'm trying to figure out precisely where I was when I stopped narrating this specific story. Now, David fled from Naoth and Ramah, came before Jonathan. I believe we were around here. Then Jonathan said to him, okay, David fucked up Goliath. Jonathan was the brave one and stood up to Saul and his bullshit commandments. Let's see what Jonathan has to say. Jonathan said to him, he's talking to David. David makes him swear his love again, for he loved him as he loved his own soul. That's unconditional love, the only meaningful currency in our broken computer glass world. Jonathan said to him, this is David he's speaking to. Tomorrow is the new moon. Not tomorrow, but I do love the new part of an eclipse. Like the new part of a lunar phase is the most important part. It's where you plant stuff. Tomorrow's the new moon and you'll be missed because your seat will be empty. And on the third day, you'll be greatly missed. Then go to the place where you hid yourself when the matter was in hand. Remain beside yonder stone heap, and I will shoot these arrows, 3 arrows, to the side of it, as though I shot at a mark. And behold, I will send the lad, saying, go, find the arrows. If I say to the lad, look, the arrows are on this side of you, take them. Then you are to come, for as the Lord lives, it is safe for you, and there is no danger. But if I say to the youth, look, the arrows are beyond you, then go, for the Lord has sent you away. And as for the matter of which you and I have spoken, behold, the Lord is between you and me forever. So David hid himself in the field. When the new moon came, the king sat down to eat food. The king sat upon his seat, as at other times, upon the seat by the wall. Jonathan sat opposite, and Abner sat beside Saul. But David's place was empty. Yet Saul did not say anything that day, for he thought, something has befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. But the second day, the morrow after the new moon, David's place was empty. And Saul said to Jonathan, his son, why has not the son of Jesse come to the meal, either yesterday or today? Jonathan answered Saul, David earnestly asked leave of me to go to Bethlehem. He said, let me go, for our family holds a sacrifice in the city, and my brother has commanded me to be there. So now, if I have not found favor in your eyes, let me get away and see my brothers. For this reason, he has not come to the king's table. Then Saul's anger was kindled against Jonathan, and he said to him, You, son of a perverse, rebellious woman, do I not know that you have chosen the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of your mother's nakedness? Facts. His mom's got pussy and boobs out. For as long as the son of Jesse lives upon the earth, neither you nor your kingdom shall be established. Therefore, send and fetch him to me, for he shall surely die. So they're gonna kill him because his mom isn't has the body. Checks out. Then Jonathan answered Saul, his father. Why should he be put to death? Reasonable question. What has he done? His mom had a sweet fucking beaver and tits. Don't act like you didn't notice the sweet tits on his mom. That's what he did. Kill him. Get rid of it. But Saul cast his spear at him to smite him. So Jonathan knew that the father was determined to put David to death. And Jonathan rose from the table in fierce anger, ate no food the second day on the month. Fasting here, David. For he grieved for David, because his father had disgraced him. In the morning, Jonathan went out into the field to the appointment with David, and with him a little lad. And he said to his lad, Run, find the arrows which I shoot. As the lad ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. And when the lad came to the place of the arrow which Jonathan had shot, Jonathan called after the lad and said, Is not the arrow beyond you? And Jonathan called after the lad, Hurry, make haste, stay not. So Jonathan's lad gathered up the arrows and came to his master. But the lad knew nothing. Only Jonathan and David knew the matter. And Jonathan gave his weapons to his lad and said to him, Go and carry them to the city. And as soon as the lad had gone, David rose from beside the stone heap and fell on his face to the ground and bowed 3 times. And they kissed one another, wept with one another, till David had recovered himself. Lots of people falling on their face to the ground in this book, from start to now. Then Jonathan said to David, Go in peace, for as much as we have sworn, both of us, in the name of the Lord, saying, The Lord shall be between me and you, and between my descendants and your descendants forever. And he rose and departed, and Jonathan went in the city. David and the Holy Beard. This is where it gets fun, guys. We're going to have facial hair with magical powers. We already kind of had it when they told you not to cut your facial hair. For my any Orthodox Jews, write in the comments if you're an Orthodox Jew with the goofy sideburns. God bless you. Adonai, however you say God bless in Orthodox. I do love whitefish salad. I grew up in Newton. I'm basically like Jew by proxy. David and the Holy Beard. Then David came to Nob, and Ahimelech the priest. Ahimelech came to David trembling and said to him, Why are you alone and no one with you? Yeah, what are you, fucking some bitch? You don't have any friends? David said to Abimelech the priest, The king has charged me with a matter, said to me, Let no one know anything about the matter which I send you, and with which I've charged you. The matter in with which I've charged you. Okay. I read that incorrectly. Matter which I send you and with which I've charged you. So he's doubling down on the same thing. I've made an appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what have you at hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread or whatever is here. That's a sweet deal. He's like, give me 5 loaves of bread. That's very precise and specific, or whatever you got. If you don't have 5 loaves of bread, just hook it up. Come on. Come on, guys. 5 loaves of bread. I send you. The king has charged me. Okay. So, David said, the king has charged me with the matter and said to me, let no one know anything about the matter which I sent you, which I have charged you. I have made appointment with the young men for such and such a place. Now then, what you have at hand. Give me 5 loaves of bread or what's here. And the priest answered David, I have no common bread at hand. What is common bread? He has other secret bread that's uncommon bread. Maybe hook up the uncommon bread. He said, whatever you have here. Why are you just limiting to the common? But there's holy bread. Okay, cool. Is this where we get the wafers with the cool stamp? I want to get the wafers with the cool stamp. I think we're working our way there. Okay, there's only holy bread. Is that matzah or is that the stamped wafer? We'll figure it out, guys. And the priest answered David, I have no common bread at hand, but there is holy bread. If only the young men had kept themselves from women. Ah, guys, you've been partying, you've been fucking. Come on, we just had holiday break. I know you guys are getting it in. That's why we don't have any holy bread, because the young men haven't kept themselves from the women. David answered the priest, of a truth, women have been kept from us always when I go on an expedition. The vessels of the young men are holy, even when it is a common journey. How much more today will their vessels be holy? So the priest gave them the holy bread, for there was no bread there but the bread of presence, which is removed from the bread of the Lord, to be replaced by the hot bread on the day that it is taken. So they're like, we're all out of regular bread. We have to give you the holy bread, but careful. It's the holy bread. You might. Now a certain man of the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord. His name was Doeg, the Edomite, the chief of Saul's herdsmen. These are all shepherds, guys. These myths we're reading, these are shepherds in the Bronze Age largely, including the Son of God, Jesus Christ. And David said to Ahimelech, and have you not here a spear or sword at hand? For I've brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste. And the priest said, the sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, behold, not beyond, it is wrapped here in a cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, take it, for there is none but that here. And David said, there is none like that. Give it to me. Okay. Dave's got a fleet of Goth. David rose and fled that day from Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, is not David the king of the land? Did they not sing to one another of him in dances? They did sing to one another in dances of the King David. That's a thing that happened. If you're keeping up with the previous chapters of this novel we're reading, Saul has slain his thousands. David his 10,000s. Flex. And David took these words to heart, was much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them, feigned himself mad in their hands, and made marks on the doors of the gate, and let his spittle run down his beard. Gross. Yeah, I don't know why David needs to be spitting. Fucking word of the Lord our God here, highest to most high. David's letting spittle run down his beard. Then said Ashish to his servants, Lo, you see the man is mad. Why then have you brought him to me? Do I lack madmen? Certainly not. That you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence. Shall this fellow come into my house? David and his followers. All right, Adullam. Here we go. David departed from there and escaped from the cave of Adullam, where his brothers and all fathers of his house heard it. They went down there to him, and everyone who was in distress, everyone who was in debt, everyone who was discontented, gathered to him, and he became a captain over them. In there, with him, were about 400 men. David went from there to Mizpah of Moab, and he said to the king of Moab, Pray, let my father and my mother stay with you, till I know what God will do for me. And he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him all the time David was in the stronghold. Then the prophet God said to David, Do not remain in the stronghold. Depart, go into the land of Judah. So David departed and went into the forests of Hereth. Okay, Saul is about to slaughter some priests at Nob. Saul heard that David was discovered, and the men who were with him. Saul was sitting at Gibeah under the tamarisk tree on the height, with his spear in his hand, and all his servants were standing about him. Saul said to his servants, Who stood about him? Hear now, you Benjaminites. Will the son of Jesse give every one of you fields and vineyards? Will he make you all commanders of thousands, commanders of hundreds, that all of you have conspired against me? No one discloses to me when my son makes league with the son of Jesse. None of you is sorry for me, or discloses to me that my son has stirred up my servant against me, to lie in wait as of this day. Then answered Doeg the Edomite, who stood by the servants of Saul, I saw the son of Jesse coming to Nob and to Amalek, the son of Ahitub. And he inquired of the Lord for him, gave him his provisions, gave the sword of Goliath, the Philistine. Then the king sent to summon Amalek, son of Ahitub, and all his father's house, the priests who were at Nob, and all of them came to the king. And Saul said, Hear now, son of Ahitub. He answered, Here I am, my lord. And Saul said to him, Why have you conspired against me, you and the son of Jesse, in that you have given him bread and a sword, and have inquired of God for him, so that he has risen against me to lie in wait as of this day? Then Ahimelech answered the king, And who among your servants is so faithful as David? Who is the king's son-in-law and captain over your bodyguard and honored in your house? And I will always lay and I will just want to dance with somebody. Want to feel the heat of somebody. Yeah, I want to dance with somebody. Okay, bodyguard jokes, guys. And honored in your house. Is it today the first time I've inquired for him? If I've inquired God for him. Today is the first time I've inquired God for him. Is today. It's a hypothetical. It's not the first day he's inquired of God for him. No. Good call. You're right. It wasn't the first day. Let not the king impute anything to his servant, or to all the house of my father, for you, servant, has known nothing of all this, much or little. And the king said, you shall surely die, Ahimelech, you and all your father's house. And the king said to the guard, who stood about him, turn and kill the priests of the Lord, because their hand also is with David. And they knew that he fled and did not disclose it to me. They didn't disclose it to me. They didn't let me know that David and the king fled. But the servants of the king would not put forth their hands to fall on the priests of the Lord. Then the king said to Doeg, you turn and fall upon the priests. And Doeg the Edomite turned and fell upon the priests, and he killed on that day 85 persons who wore the linen ephod. And Nob, the city of the priests, he put to the sword, both men, women, and children, sucklings, oxen, asses, sheep. He put to the sword. All the classic things that you have in a Bronze Age civilization are getting murdered. But one of the sons of Ahimelech, the son of Ahitub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar told David that Saul had killed the priests of the Lord. And David said to Abiathar, I knew on that day, when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all the persons of your father's house. Stay with me. Fear not, for that he seeks my life, seeks your life. He that seeks my life seeks your life. This is fucking an insane idea. For he that seeks my life seeks your life. With me you shall be in safekeeping. God hates all of us. We have to stick together, enemies of God. Not an insane notion. Also, this is just a nonsense fairy tale. People who obsess over worse nonsense fairy tales. Marvel has never made a decent film. Watch Sidney Lumet. Watch the Coen Brothers. They steal from this, not from a graphic bullshit novel written for children. David saves the city of Keilah. Now they told David, behold, the Philistines are fighting against Keilah, robbing the threshing floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, shall I go and attack these Philistines? And the Lord said to David, go and attack the Philistines. And save these Philistines? Question mark. Shall I go and attack the Philistines? And the Lord said to David, go and attack the Philistines and save Keilah. Okay. David's men said to him, behold, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more if we go to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord again, and the Lord answered him, arise, go down into Keilah, for I will give the Philistines into your hand. This is what the Lord does. He has a signature, the Lord bit, is he gives the Philistines into the hands of the chosen people. And he's doing it again. Gets me every time. He's like, how do I deal with the armies of the Philistines? He's like, don't worry, they're Philistines. I give them in your hand. You don't need to worry about the Philistines. Okay, so he gives the Philistines in their hand. David And his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines, brought away their cattle, made a great slaughter among them. So David delivered the inhabitants of Keilah. When Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, forgot a syllable, Ahimelech fled to David to Keilah, he came down with an ephod in his hand. Now it was told Saul that David had come to Keilah. And Saul said, God has given him into my hand, for he has shut himself in by entering a town that has gates and bars. So Saul summoned all the people to war, to go down to Keilah, to besiege David and his men. David knew that Saul was plotting evil against him, and he said to Abiathar, the priest, bring the ephod here. Then said David, O Lord, the God of Israel, thy servant has surely heard that Saul seeks to come to Keilah, to destroy the city on my account. Will the man of Keilah surrender me into his hand? Will Saul come down, as thy servant has heard? O Lord, God of Israel, I beseech thee, and tell thy servant. And the Lord said, he will come down. Then David, will the men of the Keilah surrender me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, they will surrender you. Then David and his men, who were about 600, arose and departed from Keilah, and they went wherever they could go. When Saul told David had escaped from Keilah, he gave up the expedition. David remained in the strongholds of the wilderness, in the hill country of the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but God did not give him into his hand. David eludes Saul in the wilderness. David was afraid because Saul had come to seek his life. David was in the wilderness of Ziph at Horesh, and Jonathan, Saul's son, rose and went with David at Horesh and strengthened his hand in God. He said to him, fear not, for the hand of Saul, my father, shall not find you. You shall be king over Israel. I shall be next to you. Saul, my father, knows this. And the two of them made a covenant before the Lord. David remained at Horesh. Jonathan went home. Then the Ziphites went up to Saul at Gibeah, saying, does not David hide among us the strongholds at Horesh on the hill of the Hachlah, which is south of the Jeshimon? Now, come on, O king, according to your heart's desire to come down. And on our part shall be to surrender to him into the king's hand. And Saul said, may you be blessed by the Lord, for you have compassion on me. Go, make yet more sure, know and see the place where the haunt is. And who has seen him there? For it is told that he is very cunning. See, therefore, take note of all the lurking places where he hides, and come back to me with sure information. There I will go with you. And if he is in the land, I will search him out among the thousands of Judah. And they arose and went to Ziph ahead of Saul. Now David and his men, in the wilderness of Maon, in the Arabah, to the south of the Jeshimon, and Saul and his men went to seek him. And David was told, therefore he went down to the rock which is in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon. Saul went on one side of the mountain, and David and his men the other side of the mountain. And David was making haste to get away from Saul, and Saul and his men were closing in upon David and his men to capture them when a messenger came to Saul, make haste and come, for the Philistines have made raid upon the land. So Saul returned from pursuing after David and went up against the Philistines. Therefore, that place was called the Rock of Escape. That sounds like a place, that sounds like how you get outside of a a cave level in Pokemon. You take a Rock of Escape. And David went up from there and dwelt in the strongholds of Vermilion Town. J.K. Lawler skates in the town of Engedi. Strongholds of Engedi. David spares Saul's life. I want to see how much longer we have for first look at Sam here. We got 30 minutes. I'm just trying to figure out if we can finish it. Oh, this is going to be fast. This is going to be fast if I finish it. You want me to read fast? You know I'm reading at like a third of the speed I can actually read this at. I just thought you might understand it better if I read it slower, but I can get through it. We got 29 minutes and 45 seconds. Okay, let's try. David spares Saul's life. When Saul returned from following the Philistines, he was told, "Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-Gedi." Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of Israel and went to seek David and his men in front of the wild goat's rock. And he came to the sheepfolds by the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. I don't know what that means. Did he piss? Did he fuck people? He relieved himself. Now, sheepfolds by the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. All right, everybody's relieving themselves. Now, David and his men were sitting in the innermost part of the cave. And the men of David and his men were sitting in the innermost part of the cave, said to him, "Here is the day of which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it shall seem good to you." Then David arose and stealthily cut the skirt of Saul's robe, and afterwards David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I should do the Lord forbid that I should do this thing to my Lord, the Lord's anointed, to put forth my hand against him, seeing he is the Lord's anointed." So David persuaded his men with these words, and did not permit them to attack Saul. And Saul rose up and left the cave, and went up upon his way. Afterward, David also arose and went out to the cave, called after Saul, "My lord the king." And when Saul looked behind him, David bowed with his face to the earth and did obedience. He didn't say things. That's another one. He did his obedience, David. David said to Saul, now he's saying things, "Why did you listen to the words of men who say, Behold, David seeks your hurt? Lo, this day your eyes have seen how the Lord gave you today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will today into my hand in the cave, and some bade me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will today not put forth." Okay, we got stuck there. It was like a record skip. "I will not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. See, my father, see not put forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. I cut off the skirt of your robe, the skirt of your robe in my hand, and did not kill you. You may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hand. I have not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it. May the Lord judge between me and you. May the Lord avenge me upon you, but my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients say, out of the wicked comes forth wickedness. My hand shall not be against you." After whom, hurt people hurt people. OG hurt people right there, guys. Out of wickedness comes wickedness. Out of the wicked, specifically. Wicked. Wicked fucking piss it, kid. Fucking yeah, dude. Fucking Sully's in this fucking Old Testament, yo. He's fucking. He was wearing some shell toes and he fucked up some kid from Lawrence. His name is fucking Jeremy or some shit. I don't fucking know, dude. Fucking the Lord's wicked fucking pissed, man. Out of the wickedness comes forth wickedness. My hand shall not be against you. After whom the king of Israel comes out. What the fuck is the king of Israel up to, dude? Fucking this kid, after whom you should pursue, after a dead dog. Yeah, flee. Coming after a flea, fucking Lord. May the Lord therefore be judge and give sentence between me and you, and to see it and to plead my cause and deliver me from your hand. When David finished speaking these words to Saul, Saul said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" Saul lifted up the voice and wept. Powerful. He said to David, "You are more righteous than I, for you have repaired me good. Repaid me good, whereas I repaid you evil. And you've declared this day, have you dealt with me, in that you did not kill me when the Lord put you into my hands." Facts. For if a man finds his enemy, will he let him go away safe? So that the Lord reward you with good for what you have done this day? And now behold, I know that you shall surely be king. That kingdom of Israel shall be established in your hand. Swear by me, therefore, by the Lord, that you will not cut off your descendants after me, and that you will not destroy my name out of my father's house. David swore this to Saul, and Saul went home. But David and his men went up to the stronghold. This is the best chapter in the entire Bible. It's a sentence long. Chapter 25, Death of Samuel. Here's how you die, Sam. Now Samuel died. All Israel mourned him. They buried him in the house of Ramah. That's how you die, Sam. In case you're wondering. David and the wife of Nabal. Getting a little steam. Little steam dream. Little cream team. See how many pages we have. Yeah, we don't have enough time to read the whole thing. Maybe we do. David and the wife of Nabal. Then David rose and went into the wilderness of Paran, and there was a man in Maon whose business was Carmel. The man was very rich. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. He was shearing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, the name of his wife Abigail. The woman was of good understanding and beautiful. The man was churlish and ill-behaved. He was a Calebite. I don't know how he snagged Abigail as Calebite. I mean, I do, but it's sad. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing a sheep. You don't hear a sheep, you shear them. Sheep are to be seen, not listened to. Shearing the sheep, guys. So David sent 10 young men. And David said to the young men, "Go up to Carmel, go up to Nabal, greet him in my name. Thus you shall salute him. Peace be to you, and peace be to your house, and peace be to all that you have. I hear that you have shearers." Harry. Fucking. Spinal Tap. Simpsons. It's the last. Now, your shepherds have been with us. We did them no harm, and they missed nothing. All the time they've been in Carmel. They've been with us. We did them no harm. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. Therefore, let my young men find favor in your eyes. For we come on a feast day. Give whatever you have at hand to your servants and to your son David. When David's young men came, they said to Nabal, "In the name of David." And they waited And Nabal answered David's servants, "Who is David?" That feels condescending. It's not written with an exclamation point, but I feel like the way that this is communicated is, "Who is David? Who is this? Who is the son of Jesse?" It's all about lineages. There are many servants nowadays who are breaking away from their masters. Shall I take bread and my water and my meat that I have killed for my shearers and give it to men who come from I do not know where? So David's young men turned away and came back and told him all this. And David said to his men, "Every man gird on his sword, and every man of them girded on his sword." Okay, so David commanded every man gird on his sword, and then the result was everybody follows the order and girds on their sword. David also girded on his sword. It's a good idea. Follow your own example. Do as I do, not as I say. And about 400 men went up after David, while 200 with the baggage. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, "Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed at them. Yet the men were very good to us, and we suffered no harm. And we did not miss anything when we were in the fields, as long as we went with them. They were a wall to both us by night and day. All the while we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now this, therefore know this, and consider what you should do. For evil determined against our masters and against all his house, and he is so ill-natured that one cannot speak to him." Then Abigail made haste, took 200 loaves, 2 skins of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed. I don't know how you dress sheep at this point. 5 measures of parched grain, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of fig, and laid them on asses. She said to her men, "Go on before me. Behold, I come after you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal. As she rode on the ass and came down under the cover of the mountain, behold, David and his men came down toward her, and she met them. Now David had said, "Surely in vain have I guarded all of this fellow in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed, and all that belonged to him. He has returned me evil for good. God, do so as to David, and more also, if by morning I leave so much as one male of all who belong to him." When Abigail saw David, she made haste and alighted from the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed to the ground. She fell at his feet and said, "Upon me alone, my lord, my guilt. Pray, let your handmaiden speak in your ears and hear the words of your handmaid. Let not my lord regard this as ill-natured fellow, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. But I, your handmaid, did not see the young men of my lord whom you have sent." Ooh, Abigail is gonna fucking cheat on Nabal. This is getting a little spice. Got some medium pace salsa so far here in the first book of Sam. "Now then, my lord," this is like, this isn't like S&M shit. S&M shit is like this. "Now then, my lord, as the Lord lives, as your soul lives, seeing the Lord has restrained you from blood guilt, from taking the vengeance with your own hand, now then let your enemies and those who seek to do evil, my lord, be as Nabal." Ugh, this dirty fucking Abigail, dude. She's just begging for it. Now, Let this present which your servant has brought to my lord be given to the young men who follow my lord. Pray, forgive the trespass of your handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my lord a sure house. Because of the Lord fighting in the battles of the Lord, and evil shall not be found in you so long as you live. If men rise up to pursue you and to seek your life, the life of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of living in the care of the Lord your God. And the lives of your enemies he shall sling out as from the hollow of a sling. When the Lord is done, my Lord, according to all good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you prince over Israel, my Lord shall cause no grief, or pangs of conscience, or having shed blood without cause, for my Lord taking vengeance himself, or for my Lord taking vengeance himself. Okay. And when the Lord has dealt with my Lord, when the Lord has dealt with my Lord, then remember your handmaid. That is one of my favorite sentences so far in the Bible. I don't know if you understand what this means, but when the Lord has dealt with my Lord, then remember your handmaid. Shout Bronze Age poets. Better than anybody that's written anything published in the last 500 years. I'm an avid reader. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you, who have kept me this day from blood guilt, from avenging myself with my own hand. For as surely as the Lord of God of Israel lives, who has restrained me from hurting you, unless you had made haste and come to meet me, truly by morning there had not been left to Nabal so much as one male. Then David received from her hand what she had brought him, and he said to her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and I have granted your petition. And Abigail came to Nabal, and lo, he was holding a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunk. Could call Nabal being very drunk. So she told him nothing at all until the morning light. And in the morning, when the wine had gone out of Nabal, his wife told him these things, and his heart died within him. He became as a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord smote Nabal, and he died. Yeah, Nabal, you gotta mind your flock, dude. Abigail's a goddamn snack, ready to give herself up to the Lord. You're just fucking resting on your laurels. No wonder. Ugh. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed the Lord, blessed be the Lord, avenged the insults I received at the hand of Nabal, and has kept his servant from evil. The Lord has returned from evil doing of Nabal upon his own head. Okay. So basically, Nabal reaped what he sowed by being negligent towards his wife and getting drunk and ignoring reality instead of attending to the beautiful divine servant of God that he chanced upon. Then David sent and wooed Abigail to make her his wife. Yeah, David, much better fit for Abigail. When the servants of David came to Abigail at Carmel, they said to her, David is sent for us to you, to take to you, to him as his wife. And she rose and bowed with her face on the ground, and said, Behold, your handmaid is a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail made haste and rose and mounted an ass, and her 5 maidens attended her. She went after the messages of David. became his wife. These are messengers. She went after the messengers of David. David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and both of them became his wives. Because Abigail, all right, we did all this stuff. We had to kill him. We had to get Abigail. Abigail's our main squeeze. But, like, also, just, like, footnotes, Ahinoam of Jezreel, we kind of want to fuck her too, so we get to do that. Saul had given him Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to the Palti son of Laish, who was of Golim. Okay, so Saul continuing to fuck up. David is going to not kill him again out of nostalgia, pity, reverence. Saul was at one point appointed by God as the leader of the Israelites. He's fucked it up in every possible way. But Saul was he's partially a good person. So David's going to try to salvage this Saul thing. He's going to try to not murder him. Then the Ziphites came to Saul at Gibeah, saying, "Is not David hiding himself on the hill of Heklah, which is on the east of Jeshimon?" So Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph with 3,000 chosen men of Israel to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. It's never like 3,486. It's always units of certain numbers. And Saul encamped on the hill of Achlah, which beside the road on the east of Jeshimon. So David remained in the wilderness. When he saw Saul, came after him into the wilderness. David sent out spies, learned of a certainty that Saul had come. Then David rose and came to the place where Saul had encamped. And David saw the place where Saul lay. And Abner, son of Ner, that's funny if you understand Ab as a prefix, the commander of his army, Saul, was lying with the encampment, within the encampment. So he's lying with his soldiers. What would your mama think if she heard my Guinness clink? See me marching at the head of my soldiers, oh. Sweet David, he is dead, was lying within the encampment, while the army was encamped around him. Then David said to Ahimelech the Hittite and to Joab's brother Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, "Will you go down with me into the camp to Saul?" And Abishai said, "I will go down with you." So David and Abishai went into the army by night, and there lay Saul sleeping within the encampment, his spear stuck into the ground at his head. Abner and the army lay around him. Then Abishai to David. Okay, so this is what Abishai is saying to David. It's phrased, then Abishai to David. Not Abishai said to David. Abishai to David. "God has given your enemy into your hand. Now therefore let me pin him to the earth with one stroke of the spear, and I will not strike him twice." But David said to Abishai, "Do not destroy him. For who can put forth his hand against the Lord's anointed and be guiltless?" David said, "As the Lord lives, the Lord will smite him. Or his day shall come to die, or he shall go down into battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I put forth my hand against the Lord's anointed. But take now the spear that is at his head, the jar of water. Let us go." So David took the spear and the jar of water from Saul's head, and they went away. No man saw it or knew it, nor did any awake, for they were asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen upon them. Then David went over to the other side, stood afar off on the top of the mountain. First there is a mountain, then there is no fountain, then there jizz, with a great space between 'em. There was space between. And David called to the army, to Abner, the son of Ner, saying, "Will you not answer, Abner?" Then Abner answered, I guess he will answer. Fucking Abner over here. "Who are you that calls the king?" David said to Abner, "Are you not a man? Who is like you in Israel? Why then have you not kept watch over the Lord your king? For one of the people came in to destroy the king of your Lord. This thing that you have done is not good." That's a great way to say that. Next time somebody makes a mistake, I'm going to go, "This thing that you have done is not good. As the Lord lives, you deserve to die, because you have not kept watch over the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, in the jar of water that was at his head." Saul recognized David's voice and said, "Is this your voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, King, O Lord." And he said, "Why does my Lord pursue after his servant? For what have I done? Why is guilt on my hands?" What guilt is on my hands specifically? But I interpret that more as a different interrogative. Again, there's an infinite different ways to interpret this mythology. But what guilt is on my hands? We're reading the current Catholic Bible, taking very few liberties. "Now therefore let my lord the king hear the word of his servant. If it is the Lord who has stirred you up against me, may he accept an offering. But if it is men, may they be cursed before the Lord. For they have driven me out on this day, that I should have no share of the heritage of the Lord, saying, 'Go serve other gods.' Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth from the presence of the Lord, for the king of Israel is come to seek out my life, like one who hunts a partridge in the mountains." Then Saul said, "I have done wrong. Return, my son David, for I will no more do you harm, because my life was precious in your eyes this day. Behold, I've played the fool and erred exceedingly." Everybody plays the fool. Boop, 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 boop. No exception to the rule, Saul. You know, the next time you cry, somebody's going to cry for you, Saul. Sometimes. All right, number one on Basic Pitch Radio, everybody plays the fool. We are a living organism, guys. Just wait until people care about it, then it'll get frightening. Everybody plays the fool. Saul, David, all of y'all. All of y'all. Luckily, I'm finer than a frog hair split 4 ways. We're almost at the end of chapter 26 here. David made the answer. "Here's a sparrow, king. Let not one of you young men come over and fetch it. Lord rewards every man for his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord gave you into my hand today. And I would not put forth, my hand against the Lord's anointed. Behold, as your life was precious esteemed in my sight, so may life be precious in the sight of the Lord, and may he deliver me out of all tribulation." Then Saul said to David, "Blessed be you, my son David. You will do many things and will succeed in them." So David went his way, and Saul returned to his place. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Give me that old time religion. Lord, it's good enough for me. It was good for the Hebrew children. Good for the Hebrew children. It was good for the Hebrew children. Lord, it's good enough for me. Give me that old time religion. See you next time. I think tomorrow, probably.